Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hello, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, I'm going to be doing a hypnosis session focused on the idea of financial anxiety. And no matter where you are in the world right now, there are lots of things happening which will have some kind of ramification or implication to finances. So that could be rising interest rates, it could be high inflation, it could be the possibility of unemployment going up, and just kind of generally the economy going into a period in the business cycle of, kind of a downward cycle rather than a growth cycle. And typically in economics, you have these kind of cycles and they kind of go in seasons. And you can kind of liken this season now to the winter in the economic cycle rather than the spring or the summer. So this hypnosis session is going to focus on how to reduce anxiety and to become empowered, even when there's lots of negativity and pessimism, and generally the mood is quite downbeat. Which it certainly is. I'm in the UK, and there's a big, kind of ripple effect, if you like, from recent government announcements that have put a lot of people in a very anxious situation. So this hypnosis session is designed for anyone listening to kind of reduce financial anxiety and for them to really focus on where or what they can do. And one of the key things about anxiety, if you're worrying about things that you're not in control of, that can create very high levels of anxiety. Normally, however, there's always certain things that you can do. So there's going to be three key things that this hypnosis session focuses on. One is decision making. So if circumstances change during let's say a recession or a low growth kind of period in the cycle, making decisions is crucial. So if your income drops, for example, you might need to make decisions about your expenses and outgoings. And if your investments are going in a certain way, you might have to make certain decisions. So being decisive in this period of time is very, very useful. The second thing is to be able to maintain positivity by focusing on yourself. So although you can't change the economics of what's going on necessarily, you can work on yourself. So typically, if there is a period, even if you're unemployed or you're going through tough times, working on yourself, upskilling, working on your health, working on your energy levels, working on your mental health are all good things, so that when you enter, let's say, the spring of the economic cycle, you're better able to take advantage of opportunities than someone that has just kind of hibernated during the winter and not done very much. So there are, that ability to work on yourself. And then the third key area to reduce financial anxiety is to look for opportunities. And it's a strange thing to say, but, lots of investors intuitively know this. The biggest opportunities are normally in the bleakest seasons, if that makes sense. And I know this firsthand because I own multiple investment properties, and I bought the vast majority of them in the 2009 period, in the aftermath of the last credit crunch, the collapse in the economy, almost the last major recession. And the majority of those properties have made me a lot of money because the prices have gone up. I've had a rental income for a long period of time. So there are opportunities as well. But you don't look for the opportunities if you don't assume that there are some. So this hypnosis session is focused on those 3 key areas. It's going to be a short session, but focusing on those 3 areas, being decisive, being resourceful, and being opportunistic. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just get a sense that stress, worries, or tension is leaving your body in your outward breath, enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed. Now, continue to breathe in and breathe out. And I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a place of relaxation for you. Maybe this was a real place, maybe a place you went on vacation, or a garden that you could feel very relaxed in. But I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine you're back in that place, surrounded by whatever you were surrounded by back then that made you feel deeply relaxed. That's right, maybe it was the freshness of the air, maybe the sunshine on your skin. But imagine you're back in that place of relaxation, and as your body is in that place of relaxation, just imagine your mind is drifting towards a place that we can call hypnosis. A place where changes can take place, beliefs can evolve, and parts within you that are you at your best and most resourceful become unlocked, able to be used. And I want you to imagine that whatever place that you're in right now that represents relaxation, I want you to imagine that you're changing the weather. See the autumnal leaves falling. Then perhaps imagine it getting colder. And I want you to imagine that in this place, winter is coming. And I want you to get a sense that as you start to see perhaps frost around you and perhaps the darker clouds and maybe even flakes of snow, I want you to get a sense that if you do nothing, even when the weather changes, can you blame the weather, or do you have to take responsibility for your ability to respond to the weather? And maybe if you were wearing clothes suitable for sunshine and the weather suddenly changed to frost or snow or cold rain, wouldn't it make sense to decide to wear different clothes? Warmer clothes, waterproof clothes. I want you to get a sense that it's intuitive for you that in everyday life, when things change, you make decisions to reflect those changes. If you're driving a car and the traffic in front of you slows down, doesn't it make sense that you just slow down too? If suddenly there's bright sunlight dazzling into your eyes, doesn't it make sense to decide to put the visor down or to wear sunglasses? Decision making in response to your environment is intuitive to you. And I want you to get a sense that you are unlocking that resource of decisiveness when it comes to finances and your own personal financial situation. It's normal, for example, that When there's more money available, people decide to prioritize enjoyment, recreation, experiences. But perhaps when money is less available due to rising prices, increasing bills, doesn't it make sense to prioritize on essentials? And just imagine that there you are, deciding what you can do to weather the storm of this winter. Perhaps you can imagine a cabin being in that relaxing place for you, and as the weather changes, maybe you would go inside, keep yourself warm, and maybe there isn't too much to do in this cabin during the deep winter. But what you can do is work on you. And I wonder, what things have you always wanted to learn, and now could be a good time to learn them? What can you do to improve your physical health? Stretch more, move more, walk or run more. I wonder, instead of using the technology around you to entertain yourself, how could you use that same technology to increase your knowledge, to become wiser, an expert in a particular area that you already have an interest in? Maybe you could learn a skill that provides a second or third source of income. And notice that as these thoughts come to mind, any feelings of anxiety reduce. Because anxiety is high when options are low. If you can't control what's happening, it makes sense to worry. But when you start asking yourself the question, what can I do to prepare? What can I do to weather the storm? Because it's based on action, options, things that you're in control of. Don't be surprised if anxiety goes all the way down to nothing. Because what is empowerment if it isn't taking the power back, empowering you to make choices, take actions to improve things in the present, but also things in the future? I want you to imagine that in the bleakest winter, there will still be sources of food out there in the snow. Maybe the occasional berry, maybe some kind of food that you could catch. The point being that no matter what the circumstances are, there are always opportunities. And I wonder how good it would feel to be a treasure hunter. Just imagine that in those tiny Caribbean islands hundreds of years ago, how much gold was buried under the sand that is still there? It would still need to be discovered, to be found. But I wonder how you would feel if in this winter, this economical winter, there were opportunities to find that treasure for you. And maybe that's buying something that you always wanted that you couldn't afford before. Sometimes the best companies that are incredibly successful, for a moment in time become affordable to buy. Maybe there's a property that you wanted that was beyond your budget, beyond your range, and maybe in the next few months there becomes an opportunity to finally get that thing that you were looking for, to invest in companies, to start your business, to buy a property. And notice that as you think about being decisive, as you think about working on yourself, and as you think about looking for the treasure of opportunities in this period, notice how difficult it is to feel anxious about your finances. There are always things that you can do, people you can ask to help or advice from, new things that you can learn. In fact, there's only one thing that is not a good idea in these bleak times, and that is to do what the metaphorical ostrich does and bury your head in the sand and just hope it all goes away. That's when you're at your most vulnerable. Not making a decision is still making a decision. It's making a decision to not make a decision. So don't leave those letters unopened. Don't use those things that typically people drift to when they're anxious, drink, drugs, food, to just temporarily change your feelings. Anxiety is there to protect you, to help you prepare. And as you tap into the realization that anxiety is your friend, not your enemy, and as long as it spurs you into action, you have a competitive advantage to those people digging their heads in the sand and just hoping everything will work out okay. Unlock that powerful resourcefulness of decisiveness, preparation, and optimism that there are opportunities to be found, even in the darkest days, will enable you to navigate the stormy seas towards spring, which will be here sooner than you think. And then find yourself back in the present, listening to my voice, but feeling strangely optimistic, positive, feeling that you have the resources to cope with whatever financial problems come your way. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Get a sense that you're in your own physical body right now, because very soon I will now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling motivated, determined, decisive, looking for opportunities to work on yourself and to take advantage of a stormy time. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.